You're watching the FileMaker News Network. Bringing you the latest in critical FileMaker news, as well as trivial gossip. Miles Debski with Internet Weather. And our field reporter, Jacob Taylor. Anchored by our award-winning team of Margaret, Haley, Jeremy, and David. You're watching FileMaker TV. Yeah, I always get little notes from Claris saying, hey, you know, we realize our product doesn't actually explode like that, right? We're like, yeah, it's kind of figurative. When we say the server has crashed or exploded, we did not actually mean the FileMaker server was driving down the road intoxicated, crashing, right? So kind of a figurative speech. So, Miles Debski, Internet Weather, how are we today?
Pretty crazy over here. It's like someone has one of those board game spinners and it's just going from snow to sun to rain to
You're in Portland,
tornado.
Portland, right? Yep.
Yes, Portland, Maine, and Oregon.
At the same time. Very good. All right. So let's. So we have the hot action news weather. Let's go to our field reporter, Jacob Taylor. Hey, Jacob, how are you?
Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right. So we have a full meal deal today. We also have the director of operations for RCC. Holy cow! There she is, Haley. How are you, Haley? She's muted. She's muted. So much for it's
I'm
like
not muted.
This is not professional.
I'm good, everyone. Thanks.
All right, good. So the crew is here. Margaret is helping run interference. So we got Miles. We got David, who's muted. You can't see him. He's one of our video editors. We got Jacob, and we got Haley. So let's. Today's a very action-packed day. There's quite a bit going on. So what I'm going to do is everyone hold your horses for a moment. Let's cover some basic upcoming news and topics. So let's start with the most boring news first, and we'll progress to more exciting things as we go forward. So first up, the upcoming broadcast schedule is right here. For those of you wondering about that, you go to fmtraining.tv, FMTV, you hit the live tab. You can see the upcoming broadcast schedule right here for those of you wondering about that. So today is a news recap. And then we have some more Nick action, some hot Nick action. So if you like Nick, you want some hot action with Nick tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Then next week, there's going to be a conversation with myself and Jacob Taylor talking about upgrading FileMaker files from 1912 with the Pony Express to modern versions of FileMaker. And then there'll be a conversation about telepathic unicorns. I think Christian Olsen should be coming to that. Margaret, you need to confirm Christian will be there with me for that event. That's a good one, okay?
Yes, sir.
So 5/3, that would be May 3rd. Now, keep in mind, other hot action news. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this real quick. Haley is still here. Haley's been helping us. This is great. We have the new, I'm going to cover over her just briefly. So there's her face. There she is over here. That's her over there, too, without her glasses. This is the new version of FM Starting Point. This is ready for beta. It's ready for you. This is a animated GIF or a kind of a little slideshow that plays in here. Talks about the dashboard and what you can do with it. But to give you some ideas, but the idea is that this area in here is programmable, so I just stuck something in here so you could see that it's kind of about 12 slides or 15 slides that talk about, hey, what could you do with your dashboard? So we have the new starting point here. It's really pretty. It works really well. It is beta. If you want to use it on a project, that's fine. We are going to probably find some bugs along the way and squish them. So this is the new starting point. I expect to probably do a mass mailing on this tomorrow would be my guess, probably later in the day tomorrow. I expect this to happen. Okay, so that is the less important news. It only gets more important from there. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. There's Haley. So let's talk about Claris today. So I have I tried to find a way of explaining what Claris had done today. Because we really didn't get any advance notice, right? And so we're kind of the definitive training location here for a whole bunch of people in the world about FileMaker, and we didn't get any advance notice. Well, I kind of thought they would do some things. They basically gave us everything we've ever asked for, and they said, yeah, we're going to give it all to you, so here, have it, right? So it's like literally, I've seen this one video right here. This is what Claris did today. And imagine it's grassy out here, it's dry, it's fire season, and then they're running through the forest with Roman candles like this, lighting everything on fire. That is Claris, what Claris did a couple hours ago. And so that resulted in a number of emergency phone calls on my part, other developers trying to get clarification on the shenanigans that they had. So Haley, you were there, you were watching this. So along the way, if you have questions or comments, you're going to jump in. Yes?
Yep.
Okay, Jacob Taylor, our hot server action guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have along the way, and then Miles, who is drinking on the job. Well, that was most impressive, Miles. All right, so let's talk about this. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to comment. Margaret is playing air traffic control with us along the way. Everything that they discussed today what I would consider is they said, in a window, I'm going to hit play. I'm going to play inside this window right here. So I'm going to play this over here, and I will put Miles over there. We'll play this together, and then I can jump around a little bit between people. I can't make this any smaller, so we have limitations to the text. So first off, the conversation today was not under non-disclosure. Now, I called them and had an additional conversation for clarification, which is covered. I can't talk about everything that happened, but I was trying to get some clarification because they kind of left some gaping holes in this a little bit. So what's important to understand in this conversation, this is like takeaway number one, is that there is a tactical conversation. Tactical means near-term conversation. I would say tactical is the next 90 days or so. Then there's kind of this mid-range conversation, say between 90 days and the end of the year. And then there's the strategic conversation, which is 2023, 2024, 2025, etc. And back 3 years ago, Claris had a keynote presentation at DevCon where Brad went on stage and they'd hired a bunch of people there, and they were up there talking all this stuff about FileMaker, yet they'd never actually ever used the product. And so those people are no longer at Claris. You have a team of people at Claris who actually understand what's going on and are making frankly, some very, very impressive decisions, some kind of bold decisions, right? Once again, the Roman candles in the forest is a bold thing to do. Jacob, or if anyone wants to chat along the way, feel free. Miles, you're there. So first off, let's talk about tactical. So the tactical conversation is this piece right here, 19.5. We've talked about 19.5. It's not a secret. Claris keeps iterating every 3 or 4 months. They come out with a new release about it once a quarter. And so this is 19.5. There is nothing really radically changed about 19.5 immediately that's earth-shattering. Besides, it's got a lot of improvements. They're going to support a new version of Ubuntu, a new Apache, not Apache web server, it's a new web server. That's kind of a Jacob conversation. We've talked about that. And then parallel backups, which makes us nervous a little bit just because it's kind of radical stuff, and a whole bunch of bug fixes, right, Jacob? So
it's only nervousness because of what they're messing with.
Yeah.
I think, as I've said before, I'm generally excited about literally everything that they're doing, but it is also a conversation where I would like someone else to biff their chin on it first, and then we will advise everyone to adopt it.
I don't have a time when this comes out, but this is tactical, right? Like, if you're fighting the Russians right now and you're trying to put a new magazine in your AK-47, right? That's a tactical decision you're making. Not, hey, can we get 100 fighter planes for next year? Kind of right? That's strategic. This is, I need bullets in the gun right the hell now, for those of you over there in Eastern Europe, right? And so this is a tactical decision. Now, farther along the way, and once again, it's about every 3 or 4 months, Claris comes out with an update. So this is what the first time I've actually seen them officially refer to 19.6. Script transactions. I have known that they were playing with this idea for a long time. If they can get that in there, that's kind of a big deal. A totally separate conversation. If you understand what transaction model is, imagine that you write a script, you do a bunch of shit in the script, and then when you're at the end, you're done with it, you say commit all of it. And so if the script crashes or it fails halfway through, it does a rollback. It doesn't save it to the server. Does that make sense, right? So that's kind of a big deal. So you have this other stuff, and now we're going to increase the scalability. I don't know how they're going to do that. They might have to sacrifice some unicorns or something. I don't know. This is kind of farther out. I haven't played with 19.6. I don't have it. So, but they decided to announce it, everyone, today. So once again, dinosaurs with Roman candles shooting the stuff from everywhere. So then they had their next little chart, which they modified so people wouldn't freak out about it. It's been modified, but you're going to see this this conversation about one Claris platform. So Claris has been talking about, their initial idea was, hey, we're going to have a Claris Connect, we're going to have Claris Cloud, and people can buy the services they want kind of a la carte. And what they realized was that there's a whole bunch of us who are married to FileMaker. We love FileMaker, but you got to make a compelling reason for us to want to love the other products you're making. And of course, first out of the chute was FileMaker Cloud, which has been okay. Some people like it. Cloud 1 was out. Cloud 2 is a vast improvement. And there's some people who really love it. Some people can't use it due to limitations. And then they came out with Claris Connect, which is kind of a mess, right? A hot mess. And so in terms of the developers being on board with that, just didn't go anywhere. And so they really want the developers to play with it. They need to make the price point appealing. So they want to do this one Claris platform. They've talked about this a number of times. And they kind of like decided, well, we should name it besides the one Claris platform. So I don't know if we eventually get to that. Let me see. I'm just going through their slides here. So they kind of did a recap. This is the FileMaker today, the FileMaker new stuff. And the idea is that these two sides, it's not really on this slideshow right here, but the two sides right here talk to each other right here. And so this over here is their new back end and all this sort of stuff. This does not replace this. It's such an important idea. So the FileMaker we have today doesn't immediately go anywhere. In fact, it probably doesn't go anywhere for 10 years, right? That kind of stuff, like way out in the future, like beyond strategic, right? Right? People will be taking vacations in orbit around the Earth. Within 10 years, people will take a vacation, if you have any money, around the planet. Not a 5-minute flight. Elon Musk will have a little like vacation, and you can Airbnb into low orbit and enjoy vacation there in 10 years, right? Totally possible, right? So that's what 10 years looks like. That's a long ways away. So this is their new stuff, the MongoDB, the things like that, the new tech. It doesn't replace the current product. That's a super, if you take away nothing today, that's the first thing to take away. Then they spent all the time talking about it's going to be beautiful and fast and modern, and it augments existing FileMaker. Once again, critical thing. And then over here, they've got this, they call it ESS Plus. It's a fancy way of saying that there's this two-way back and forth communication between their new stuff and FileMaker. This is all old. We talked about this last September, October. And so what they decided to do is that, well, and this is the slide that caused, in my opinion, so many problems. So this makes perfect sense. So we're going to take the Claris online services world and glue it all together into a single product. We're not going to sell Connect separately. They probably don't sell Cloud 2 separately. I said probably because they haven't said that. They glue it all together into one package. That's called Claris Studio, right? Pretty straightforward. Then Claris says, well, and this is very important right here. I want to point this out. And Jacob, feel free to wave. You're on screen here just enough. A slice of your head is there, right?
Yep.
There you are. And this slide mixes both tactical and strategic objectives on one slide. It implies, because here's the thing, they're going to start beta testing. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, Claris Studio, in the next couple weeks. So if this is tactical, then this all must be tactical too, right? And so what they said in this slide is that, yep, we're getting rid of the word FileMaker. Kiss my FileMakers out the door. That's what this slide said. And I immediately picked up the phone and said, have you guys lost all your marbles, right? Right? Because I'm not going to reshoot 2,000 videos because you want to move the furniture in the house, right? That being said, you've got kind of a tactical thing going on here, over here. This is going to start to see this. What they would do in a strategic sense, they and I don't know how married they are to this, because when I got them on the phone, they started walking this back, right, to a degree. So I don't know at what point the word FileMaker goes away, if ever, but certainly not within this year. And probably because people are going to know about this. It's funny. There's a handful of consultants, and I'm not going to name their names because they're probably watching. But they were like, yeah, Claris should get rid of the word FileMaker, except no one, listen, I went to a customer the other day. They said, hey, would you like to buy some more licenses to Claris? And they said, who the is Claris and what is that? And I said, you've only had a product license with them for 20 years. it's their new name. Oh, we just know FileMaker, right? So they're fighting that, right? They're fighting that. So some developers out there are like, yeah, get rid of the name, modernize it. Other developers are like, I don't have a, if Claris sends bills out that don't say FileMaker on the bill, no one's going to renew the product, relicense it. So this is a challenge over here. This is a challenge. This is strategic. This is if we can make it work and how does it work, right? This right here is very tactical. So this is the slide that caused me to lose my today. So this is, then Claris starts talking about, well, this is all the new stuff. It's Connect plus user management. User management is a Claris customer console. They already have that for Cloud 2. So it's a Cloud 2 user management, which is basically an Active Directory kind of single sign-on thing. Kicks, it's great. It's got some rough edges. I'm sure they will be happy to fix that. Plus the new stuff. So this is all their new kind of services architecture. This Claris Studio lives in parallel, once again, forgetting the tactical, the strategic, just put the word FileMaker, FileMaker, FileMaker in there. They live laterally side by side with each other. Makes sense? And so one doesn't displace the other one. Moving forward. So at this point, I was not watching the presentation because I'd lost my mind about the previous slide. So Jacob and Maz, you're going to help me along here, right? So we're talking about the Claris Studio. So if we go back, I'm going to wind backwards to this right here. What Claris wants to do from a strategic standpoint is re-engineer FileMaker with more modern stuff. But they realize they've got a tremendously powerful platform that they can't, it's like why Airtable, like Airtable's been out there for a couple of years or whatever it is, and they have some money in development. And how come they haven't knocked Claris off? How come Claris is still in business? Because there's 33, 35 years of development and community effort to build the FileMaker platform. It's 35 years of organic development. No one 35 years ago knew what today would look like, much less the internet. That was before the internet, right? The DARPANet and Defense Department were doing secret shit on there. That was before the internet. So what does 30 years in the future now look like? You can't make that. You have no idea. So what they're trying to do is re-engineer FileMaker, but it's nowhere near ready to replace FileMaker, like I said, but years before they could even think about doing that. But in the meantime, they can get some wins with this new technology. So you put Claris Connect over here, you combine it with Claris Cloud over here, and then the first awesome deliverable that they're going to give us are web forms, anonymous data collecting web forms that you can craft and build. So that's kind of where we're going to go over here, is the idea that if you purchase Claris Studio or get a license for it or whatever, however that looks, right? Because this is the first time we've seen this slide, you're going to be able to go and collect anonymous forms. So people say, well, I want to use WebDirect to do anonymous data collection, okay? There's 2 or 3 serious problems with using WebDirect in a public-facing environment. Technological problems, licensing problems. So this is Claris's answer to this. It's a gaping hole in the platform that has not been ever addressed. And so their first foray into this is not to replace FileMaker, but we're gonna build something in it that provides immediate value, high ROI. And so that's why you'd want this, right? Because then you could collect the forms over here in the new system, and after the data is collected, it transfers. Once again, that's that slide right here. Hey, if you see if you can find that slide for me, right? It's the one that was right before this one. It shows this side talking this side. You're going to collect the data over here, public-facing collection, and then it just feeds in the FileMaker on the back side. Pretty cool, eh? Solves a lot of problems that people have had. So all sorts of ideas of things you can do, right? So forms are very welcome. That's a big win from Ruben. Yeah, exactly. So what it is I think 3 years ago, Srini and the people that were there at the time thought, well, in 3 years, we could totally replace FileMaker with this new stuff. Well, to show you how intensely complex and deep FileMaker is, the product is really deep, they've managed to replace one thing in 3 years. Or not even replace, but augment one thing, right? which is building public-facing forms, right? So I think in the near term, what you'll see, and I'm now completely reading tea leaves, is Claris will continue to use the Claris Studio to solve easy things to solve that are not easily solved on the FileMaker side that we've had previously, and to augment that and to make a better cohesive environment, right? If that makes sense. So dashboards and publishing, data pipe, single login. So this is that slide right here that we kind of talked about. This is Studio collecting data, FileMaker on the other side, FileMaker server, FileMaker cloud on the other side, data going back and forth. The single sign-on is stuff that they already had in Cloud 2, so whatever. So Claire said that these are, they call them their North Stars. This is their Peter Pan reference, right? This is our guiding ships, sailing ships in the 16, 17, 1800s, whenever you had sailing ships that went around the world. So they want to make, and right here, this is the big one right here. I'm going to zoom in on this. I'm going to make this like freaking ginormous. Can I make this really big for everyone? Right? So the big one is no friction for new adopters, right? They have finally decided that they need to give FileMaker Pro in some fashion away for free. Okay? So now, once again, real quick, we are now having a strategic conversation. So part of my emergency call with them earlier was like, well, because I knew that 19.5 was supposed to ship already, and they held it. And I don't know why they held it. And I said, well, are you holding it to put the freemium stuff in there? I don't know when the freemium stuff comes out. They haven't announced it yet. They did tell me, and we can take it to the bank, it's not immediate, so it's not 19.5. When does it actually show up? I don't know. But you could guess sometime after 19.5. Probably this year, but I don't know. They haven't committed to that. They just were very verbose in saying it was not 19.5. So what does that mean? You download FileMaker Pro or Claris Pro, whatever the hell they're going to call this thing. Probably this year it'll still be FileMaker Pro. Download it. It's totally free. It's a trial that never expires. And that trial, as you get into this, actually also connects to Claris Studio. So what Claris has done is they've taken FileMaker Pro and they've kind of, I guess, forked it a little bit, would be the description if you're a developer. Understand the idea of forking code. You take like starting point and you duplicate it, then you have two versions going together. In the near term, it's forked is my understanding. And that you'll have the standard version of FileMaker, then you'll have this version of FileMaker Pro, same version with same features, but it has the extra ability. So when you're in FileMaker, like if I go over here and I say, like I close all the windows and I go back in here, does it give me, yeah. This one, a lot of times you can pop up and have it say, hey, I'm going to connect to Claris Connect, right? And it says, what's your Claris Connect login? Well, instead of, or Claris Connect, what's your Claris Cloud login? It would say, what's your Claris Studio login? So it's designed to be integrated directly and connect with that. So what Claris wants to do is that the goal is that if you build a solution in FileMaker Pro, you get to build that solution for free. If you want to distribute your solution with FileMaker Pro for single users, somehow you're going to have to figure out how to get that threaded in with the trial. Claris has made no announcements about that. All of you are going to ask questions about that. Scott Kane, a bunch of you went like, how do we do that? I don't know. But the runtime is gone. Remember, they got rid of the FileMaker runtime. Well, effectively, FileMaker runtime is back. Utterly and totally back, except that to get it, you have to go to Claris and download the trial. What does that look like? I don't know. So have they worked this out or thought this out or written this up? No. And even if they had worked out, thought it up, would they tell me? No, they wouldn't tell me this. I have to be on the door to get them to give me the information, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But at the end of the day, FileMaker Pro for single users would be free. We've been advocating this strongly for a long time. If you want to use it with a team in a collaborative environment, that's where you're going to write them a check. So you're going to pay for the 5-pack, 10-pack, 20-pack, whatever. But if you want a single copy, now, some of you are saying, hey, I could do peer-to-peer and I can be an ultra weasel. Peer-to-peer is gone. There will not be any peer-to-peer. I don't know when they remove it. I think it's still in 19.5, but they're going to pull peer-to-peer out. It'll be gone. Bye-bye. Ruben says, Freemium sounds like a good start. Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, Apex have freemium stuff, server, client stuff, hack. hack up a couple gigabytes of space and run your own Oracle server for free. Yeah. So I think the trick with FileMaker is getting them to take this vision and modernize it. This conversation today, essentially, as we get through it, and we're already halfway through the day, it's everything that the developers have been asking for in a meaningful, serious sort of way. It's I could think about a couple of the CEOs of other companies. They call me to vent, and so I provide therapy to other CEOs within the FileMaker community. I guess it's fine, but I think it handles and answers most of the issues they have. I think the high performance web issue, the web direct, is something they want to deal with and replace, but that's forthcoming, right? So let's talk about these North Stars. So once again, I'm going to zoom in on the North Star action over here. So first one is freemium. See, today's broadcast could have all been about this first slide right here, and that's plenty to talk about. We didn't need to have anything else, but they decided to pack everything into one broadcast and then launch it like the stupid T-Rex over here, right? Hey, here's everything in one thing. Go choke on it. Have a nice day, right? So it's like it's a lot. It's a lot. So they talk about the Claris Studio, one identity across all properties. A property is a marketing term for our products that we don't know how to name yet. That's for those of you wanting to decode that. When sales or marketing have a product but they don't know what to name it, they want to loosely call it something, they call it a property. Okay. Central identity management, they already have this. This is already in Cloud 2, already there. Your data is available everywhere, integration across a platform. And honor and don't break existing deployments. They really beat on this last one quite a bit. In fact, my conversation with them quite a bit right here, I'm going to zoom in on this. When I talked to them a little bit earlier, it wasn't just about not breaking your stuff, but it was also about not getting rid of, once again, it goes back to that slide where they panicked everyone 3 years ago where they said, hey, we're going to get rid of FileMaker Server. And when they did that slide at DevCon, they absolutely meant they were going to get rid of FileMaker Server. They actually meant that. And the management team, of course, at the time had no idea what they were saying because, conveniently enough, they don't build FileMaker Solutions. So when the developer community lost its shit at DevCon after the keynote, they spent the next 3 years walking it back. Here's them walking it back again, right? So the idea is that because no one in their right mind would ever harpoon and kill your current customers. Why do that? They won't be your customer if you kill them. So the goal is to keep on-premise going, figure out how to connect it and have it share data with Claris Studio. And I can just tell you that RCC used to be on-premise only, and now we are mostly in the cloud on AWS, right? I have a personal training server that I have in my office that I put my personal stuff on-prem. It allows me to practice with the product and play with the product so I get exposure to the on-prem product, but I don't really have to have it. I could put it on the cloud. But the idea is to take the data anywhere, have Studio talk to FileMaker Pro, right? Once again, tactically over the next, say, 6-8 months, and then honor the power of the developer but not breaking their right. So I'm giving you this like you've entered the no bullshit zone right here. This is me giving it to you straight, and where they're going to be kind of, they're more straight talk than they've been before. Once again, Peter Nelson did a great job today of really answering questions directly. I thought that was quite good. Christian Schmidt says they could simply disallow peer-to-peer if you don't have a license. Yeah, they could. But for those of you, I ran into a peer-to-peer person again the other day. I was talking, and maybe you're watching this stream as a person doing software, had to do with agriculture. I'll just leave it loosely like the agricultural solutions. And you have agricultural people out in the field or out at these remote locations. They just want to use Pro by itself with a local file, except there's no backups. There's no, none of the backups or protection you have with it, and you run the risk eventually having the file, crash, and then eat itself. So, so that's an interesting conversation. So licensing, binaries and tools are free. So you get to use, this is their idea of licensing. So the idea of licensing is This is what we've said over and over and over again. Other developers said it's free, it's free, it's free until you want to share it with your team. When you want to share with others, you're going to write a check, which is the way it should be. You should write a check if you're going to share it with a team. If you want, someone the other day said, I'm going to make what do we used to be? We're going to do I make a database for my recipe database, or I'm going to make a database for my DVD collection or my VHS tape collection. I'm like, holy shit, really? Well, you can do that now, once again, cost effectively with FileMaker Pro and just using that as your base. And then if you want to share your collection of recipes with other people in the company, then you're going to write a check to pay for that. So recap, the tools are free for everyone to use. Single user includes, once again, this is a strategic statement right here, and a strategic statement, and they're mixing strategic and tactical things in one slide. I don't know if they did that on purpose or they weren't thinking that all the way through. I'd have been happy if they'd have run this by me a week ago. I would have happy to have a fit then and let them rethink it a little bit. But that's what they're mixing. They're mixing this stuff. Maybe for a lot of you that doesn't matter, but I've got a lot of training content. For me, it kind of matters. Unlimited trial that never expires, right? So that's your freemium, whatever. No sharing, no deployment, right? Charge on deployment. I mean, I love this. I think this is fantastic. Haley and Miles, if you have any comments, I'm mostly looking at Jacob bobbing his head up and down, but if anyone has comments, let me know. What do you get? Freemium, download. Once again, I think when you first get freemium, it's still going to be called FileMaker, right? So once again, they're mixing a tactical idea with a strategic naming thing, right? So I don't know what to tell you about that. Besides, I'm here trying to untangle the messaging because we weren't going to do the broadcast today unless there was clarification on this. So I got clarification. I was like, this is just bad slides, just bad slides. I mean, I like the messaging. Messaging is very specific, but it's like you're going to get freemium probably before the end of the year. But when are we actually going to drop the name FileMaker? Right. So paid organization marked as deployable. Pretty straightforward stuff there. And then Andy Cates got in here and gave us a bunch of embroidery about how important and how much we love you, right? So let's talk about the other tactical thing coming up. So Claris has a problem. So as of right now, this is a lot to absorb. We're already over full, right? This is like we go to the dinosaur here, and you're like, someone wants to, after you watch this for an hour, then someone hands you a sparkler. I wouldn't even want to hold the sparkler. My brain is full of spinning, exploding dinosaurs, right? So that's my head right now. How could I possibly process someone's little sparkler, right? Yet, there's more. It's like the Ginsu commercial, right? For those of you remember, we're old, like they have the TV commercial. It chops through tomatoes, and it chops right through this can, and it's still super sharp. And then how much would you pay for this? But wait, there's more, right? We always heard it was the Ginsu knife commercial. It was horrible. It was before Jacob's time. So problem solver circle. Jacob and Miles. You guys want to explain what the problem solver circle is? What is this? What is this? Do anyone want to answer that? Try to answer that. What is this?
I'm going to defer to Miles.
Miles, you remember what this is?
I don't know all the slides you had, but they did have one that mentioned, would it be right after it?
No, there's nothing after because Haley didn't give me anything after this. The problem solving circle. So here's something. It's not even in the slide deck. That's why there's so much stuff here, right?
Yeah.
We covered all the important stuff. So let's talk about other tactical. See, this is too much in one live. I mean, they gave this to us in 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and this was done. They embroidered for another 20 minutes, but this was 20-minute brain dump. The newsreader should have a teleprompter. I guess. I mean, we're trying to absorb this in a meaningful way, and it's so much shit. I don't know. I probably, if you went to, you went to Wimda Court, you went to Jesse Barnum, picked the I'm spacing on all these people's names. My brain's overloaded. They're much smarter people than I am. I'm trying to like do like practical, tactical kind of like how does this fit with what we're doing kind of stuff. And my head's full. So they have a licensing program that's immediate, tactical, like come sign up for it right now. And what they are doing is the problem solver circle is it's a combination, right? It's the beta. It's you get the beta test. Their Claris Studio.
Yeah.
And you also get enrolled if you want to take advantage of this in a new licensing program. The licensing it's almost like I'd be surprised if
it's the 2-year thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's a 2-year thing. So here's what you do. So here's what you do. If you find a slide on this, Haley, can you find me
So they don't have very many slides that explain exactly what this program is. Those slides that I gave you are basically what they showed in their presentation. It's a 2-year program to play with their platforms without a license. At the end of that 2 years, you can decide what kind of licensing you want and which direction you want to go if it's a fit for your company and it's something you want to continue to use. One thing that Andrew said in the beginning of his like deep dive on what the problem solver circle is that it will allow you to easily convert your existing licenses to site licenses. And then he started talking about
Hang on. Okay. I got it right here. So this is off a confidential slide that was confidential. They should have put this in the thing today, but they didn't do it. So this is a short version of the overview. So the Claris, they don't have a name for it here. This was, I don't know, a month or two ago. They talked about this. I thought, oh, it's a really good idea. So I'm just going to share this with you at this point. So it's no longer confidential, right? So the idea is that if you already have at least a 5-pack of FileMaker, if you renew for 2 years, you do a 2-year, you're on an annual licensing, so you have a 5-pack, a 10-pack, 10, 15, 20 seats of FileMaker, and you renew for 2 years, and you pay a 30% premium, they will give you, of course, the 2 years that you would expect. They will also give, for those 2 years, everyone in your company gets to use the product. So as a radical example of this idea is radical example, say General Motors. And General Motors is not my customer, but let's just pick a big company. They have 20 people in some sort of survey department division that does something with FileMaker. And so General Motors has probably 50,000 employees, 100,000 employees. And Claris would really like to get into other departments down there. They're trying to figure out how to laterally weasel sideways. So it's a lateral expansion of the product within an existing organization. It's what I call Operation Lateral Weasel, right? So you're trying to weasel sideways, right? It's like your cat. If you ever have a cat in your bed, it's under the covers, and you see it kind of going from my cat goes from my side of the bed to get pets. It goes to my wife's side of the bed to get pets, and then you see this little kind of hump under the sheets coming at you. It's the cat coming for it, right? It's a lateral movement across the organization, right? And so the idea is that if you had 10, 20 people at General Motors, they did this program. General Motors, the whole corporation would get a site license for. That's exactly it. There it is from Margaret, right? They would get a site license for 2 years. So everyone at General Motors, all 50,000, could use the product for 2 years for free, which allows you to try it out in other departments. The idea is that after 2 years, if you've grown from 20 users to 40 users or 20 users to 100 users, Claris has increased the size of their customer base. That's huge. That's a big deal. This right here is a whole conversation in and of itself. So this promotion right here, coupled together with their a trial of Claris Studio, is what they're calling the problem circle solver circle, whatever they're calling that. Problem solver circle, right? So they combined two totally unrelated items into one kind of interesting package because they really wanted to run two promotions, and instead of running two that would confuse people, they have one promotion. So they say that they're only going to take 500 people in this program. As a salesperson, that smacks of a sales tactic, right? Like, hey, it's so elite. It's like if you're actually making Lamborghini cars, they only make so many. That's like a legitimate. It's like a legitimate limitation, right? It's a physical thing. But if you're like the U.S. banking system, right, or something like that,
it's because all the Lambos are handmade.
Yeah, I know they're all handmade. But if you're like the guy who prints $100 bills, right? Well, how many? Well, there's only 500 of these. But if the Treasury Department wants to print more, they could print them. It only costs them the cost of the paper special, and the ink. But if Claris has 1,000 people that really want this, are they going to tell 500 people no? I don't. It doesn't make any sense. But whatever. The point is that they're trying to gin up enthusiasm for this. I think it's definitely interesting. In fact, a lot of you, if you have a business and you are interested in this, you should definitely check it out. If I want to, do we have that slide where they can scan their barcode? So here is your barcode. So I'm going to put this up. If you scan this, does this actually work? Anyone try this? Like what happens?
Yes.
It takes you like to the sign up.
So if you're not a developer and you're a end user, like you're not in their partner program, you're not that kind of developer, you scan this one. If you're in the partner program or something like that, you scan this one. And that allows you to get more information, sign up, whatever, right? Makes sense?
Or contact your developer.
Or just call Richard Carlton. We will straighten it out for you. No charge. Actually, we do charge for straightening people out. Sorry. Ask Jacob about that. So I guess it's question and comment time. Margaret posted a really good picture here of the lateral action with the cat. So let me bring this down here. This is a good one. So that's kind of what I was going for with the cat. So if FileMaker, that cat's name is Claris. That's Clarice the cat. And if you're in an organization and you're on one side, you want to laterally move to the other side, right, and get more deals, more sales. And that's a perfect analogy of a lateral movement like that, right? Makes perfect sense. It's a good idea. I love it. Everything today I love. What I don't love is their mixing of strategic objectives and tactical objectives on one slide without explaining it. Because I got done with the first 10 minutes of the webinar, and to say I was unhappy is a very large understatement. So anyway. All right, so Ruben says, when there will come a lot of developers and the class marketing for training will get a lot bigger. Yeah, but when I saw that, all I saw was that, Richard, you have 2,000 videos. You need to reshoot them because you can't use the word FileMaker anymore. And my first thought was to send Claris an invoice for about $2.4 million, which is what it would cost literally to do that. So when people say, just throw some training together, I'm going to be a training professional. We'll just throw training together. I have millions with an S of dollars building the training curriculum. It's a lot. So anyway, never mind the live streams. That's over and above. Okay, comments or questions? It's really quiet. Batwitch 13. It's an App Store version. Batwitch 13. Yeah, I don't know what in reference that to, but I kept hearing this talked about. Did they talk about the App Store at all?
Yes,
they did?
Pro, that's if not additional, but as an augment, that's another way that Pro will be distributed. They're going to put it in the App Store, and this is going to be that freemium mode for it.
I know that came up in my conversation with them. So because we've been asking about why is it not in the App Store and blah, 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 blah.
And I guess it's going to be. And then Batwitch also, they said there is an onboarding involved in the program. That would be the limiting factor.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, then Claris can decide which, because they're going to have about 2,000 or 3,000 people want to do this. They can decide which of those 2,500 people they want to tell no to. Pro TBD on which one to be determined. Claris Pro. Yeah. So, well, Claris is a company. So it's kind of an interesting thought statement. Once again, this is more strategic, but so let's I'm going to walk through this very carefully logically. So first there was FileMaker. FileMaker It was nutshell and whatever, but FileMaker became a product, and Apple bought it and created Claris to handle it. And so Claris was a company, FileMaker was the product or the platform. Then Apple took away all of Claris's other products. Whatever reason, doesn't matter. This is Steve Jobs. They call it Black Thursday down at Claris, where half the people at the company were fired and laid off. Pretty horrible day. And so then Claris became FileMaker Inc. So FileMaker was the name of the company and the product. Then 3 years ago, FileMaker Inc. went back to become Claris, and FileMaker was then only the name of the product. FileMaker Pro was the name of the product. Now they're saying in the future that Claris is the company and the product will just be Pro, because they're going to drop the word FileMaker. Claris is the company name. The product name will be Pro. So it won't be FileMaker Pro, it'll just be Pro or Go
Claris
or Web.
Pro.
Well, Claris, because if you're specifying it with the company name, a lot of times we don't refer to the company name because everyone knows we're talking about Claris. So instead of us saying FileMaker Pro, is this going to be, it'll be very slang. It's Pro, what's up? Go, what's up? WebDrive, right? So very short name. New version of Claris works. In a very Canberra 57, that's actually kind of in a lot of ways true. Claris works is an amalgamation of 3 or 4 or 5 different smaller products put together into a single product. My mother loved Claris Works. She lost her mind when they canceled that years ago. So, in fact, she called me and said that they can't do that. And she said that she literally used those words. They can't. No. She said no. They can't do that. And I said, yes, they can. And she absolutely insisted, no, they can't do that. And I go, okay, well, I'm not Claris or Apple, and I ain't in charge of shit. But it was like such a mental block for her. I thought she was having a stroke at the time. That's how wound up she was about it, right? So anyway, was it the no, they just got rid of Works entirely. Works was an amalgamation of a very light version of FileMaker. It was a light spreadsheet. It's kind of like the modern version. They got Pages and Numbers and Keynote. If you took those lightweight versions of those and you coupled them together with like a Bento or something, then you got Claris Works, right? It made sense. It was a competing product to Apple Works, right? And so it's kind of an amalgamation of products. Trust me, the people down at Claris right now don't know about this at all. This predates all of them, except for some of the people in engineering, product management. No one else down there has ever heard of that. So, yeah. Because the product manager for Claris Works was Alexi Folger, who was a sales engineer who was canned or quit or whatever happened, and now she works in the consulting business. She shows up here periodically. She's fantastic people, really sharp. I like her. She was the product manager at Apple for Claris Works, because Claris Works then became Apple Works, and then it was killed. So there you go. It would be very hard for all of us who have used it, calling it FileMaker for so long, to transition to only calling it Claris. See, that's the problem. Claris is the company. It's not going to be FileMaker. It's just going to be Pro. I don't know. It's once again, they mixed tactical objectives with strategic objectives and stuck it like a witch's brew in a stew and then mixed it. So Claris is a company, so they're going to call their platform Claris, right? Is that what this is?
Claris 1.
Yeah, to me, it's a company name. It's not the product name. Now, they can call it Studio. Studio is their amalgamation of all their stuff together, right? That makes sense. So that's the one piece here that does make sense. So anyway, the naming is just kind of, they're moving the furniture around. There's some developers out there like, yeah, let's get rid of the name. That way all the 20-year-olds will not think it's old and has to do with files, and it makes files, right? Literally, that's the conversation, which is fine, except the entire current audience today knows it as this name. So how long will it take? Basically, I have to retire. Richard has to retire. And then as I retire and Kyle is killed in a horrible bus crash, and some of you other younger ones there you have to die off, then no one will remember it as FileMaker. They can call it whatever they want to call it, right? I know, Kyle, it sucks, but you can't call it. I mean, at some point, this is what I got into with him today on the phone. I said, you guys going to get rid of calling it FileMaker, and I understand that, but no one's going to write a check for for Claris Pro because no one knows what that is. I get junk email from people. Hey, would you like to buy so and so? And it sounds like something good, but it's not. So we just shred it. I get an email say buy Claris Pro, goes in a recycle. It gets shredded. Never going to pay that bill. Email spam. Everything was motoring along kind of predictably, and then Claris literally, once again, decided that, hey, how much can we pack into 20 minutes and light everyone's hair on fire? And this is literally what they did. I mean, I can't think of a better example of what they've done. And I mean, it's great, but the rest of us have to process it, right? We have to what's important and me personally, the way I'm processing is I'm thinking about tactical and strategic. And there's really tactical, which I consider 3 months. Then you got kind of this medium in between, which is between that and the end of the year. And then strategic is 2023 and beyond, right? And this slideshow was a mix, absolutely a mix of, and they didn't specify that. And that's kind of why I get excited. So let's do questions and answers here real quick. Monkey bread. Oh, look at that. He's got a hot knife, a hot action knife. Wow, Swiss Army knife. That's very nice. I can't remember. Did they say when Fi was coming out? Okay, so officially, no, they didn't say. They didn't put dates on any of this stuff. But .5 was supposed to have shipped already, and then I was getting clarification because we had to schedule some stuff, and they said, Richard, just hold on it. So what they've done is they've got 19.5, and I guess there's two versions of it. One that connects with a beta of the Claris Studio, and one that's normal 19.5. So there's two kind of forked versions of it. Does that make sense? Yep. So, and I'll have to talk to them to make sure that we can bring the studio here to the live stream, because then we will do some training. We'll build some forms, right? Mm-hmm. We could do a survey. Should Ellen return to FileMaker and be here every day with us at 1 o'clock? And we will take a survey, yes or no. Should the lobster return, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Other people think she should.
I think the crowd will say yes.
Yeah, the crowd will say yes. Let me move this. I'm moving people around. Stand by.
On the side. Yep.
I'm shuffling so we can put this over here. Yeah. Yeah, Cameron's the same way. So, Miles, we've been awful quiet over there. Let me go to the hot Miles action. I'm sure he's not been drinking or anything, right? Oh, there he is. Miles, anything insightful on this? I mean, not everyone here is old and over the hill like I am. Anything, Miles? Anything?
Nothing really to add. I mean,
how old are you, Miles? How old are you?
I exist outside of time. So, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go with 32. You got one or two kids at home, so he's definitely in kind of the age group that we need to be pushing towards, right? If I go over to Haley, I think it's about the same. There she is. So she's got two kids that actually one of them's almost about in high school. That's
yeah.
Is he have a smart mouth on him?
I mean, yeah.
There you go.
He's a comedian.
You would hope so.
He's got a smart mouth.
Smart mouth, yeah. The eternal smarts, right? So yeah, no, her kids are actually great. So, but they have a very interesting sense of humor. Kyle's 43. Kyle, you're in the in-between mode, right? So you're on the edge of being too old for the new Claris without FileMaker. So, yeah. So questions from anyone? That lobster is there.
I go away for a few seconds.
Ellen goes like, I'm gone for a couple months. I come back and you've renamed the product. I said, yeah, actually everything was pretty cookie cutter and under control. It started last week with 11-minute live stream that pissed off a lot of people. I won't get into that, but it was 11-minute live stream. And then what they were trying to do is get people to show up today. They could have done that better, I guess, right? Like, hey, there's like major coming, so come next week. But that's not how they handled it. And then today they literally had the T-Rex with about 50 Roman candles going. I mean, it's off the hook. So
I got up early for that live stream.
Yeah. So we're going to be bringing you updates and covering this. I think tactically the next thing you're going to see is 19.5 as soon as the official sign up. So once again, that one slide that we had, I'm going to move that over here and see if I can bring that back. It's the one slide with your, if you folks want to take a picture of that. Also, if you want to watch the video where these guys talk about this, the problem is when they're doing it, they're mixing and matching the tactical and the strategic together. It's good, but if you actually have it's better to watch the live stream if you've never heard of the product before. It's more, if you're an established developer, it's a little bit, I don't know. It's like
jarring. There's a little whiplash.
Jarring, yeah. It's jarring is a word, or it's causing my head to swim. What's that, Margaret?
Never mind.
Okay. So, cool. All right. Well, it's coming up on 2 o'clock. We're about done here. So that's your hot action news for today. It's a lot. And I want to thank everyone for helping put together, and my team for putting up with my tantrum that I had this morning, which was an epic level tantrum. All I can say, it wasn't my fault. So, yeah, I passionately believe in the platform. It's a fantastic platform. This is all huge news. This is really good news. I think, notwithstanding the presentation part of it, mixing the near term and long term. Yeah, so it's very exciting. It's very exciting, and then we'll have lots of great training coming. And then, so near term, the most immediate next thing you're going to see is a new starting point. You'll get a notification on that. This is the beta for the light. Once again, it's understandable by mere mortals and humans. I went ahead and closed it, but it's got the new neomorphism design surface. That's next. Then 19.5 comes in there. Then starting, there's a 30-day training session we'll be doing at 1 o'clock from the very beginning users building your own customized CRM. It starts Monday, May 16th. Is that correct? Something like that. It'll go for 30 days, and every day will be a different topic from very brand new beginner. So some of you will be like, I don't need that. That's fine. But we want to kind of go back and recapture the beginning people and bring them along. And then that will be kind of a cohesive set of videos you can watch to help get you going with your first custom solution. So, because the idea is if you have to build it from scratch, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, it's educational. But if you have a boss or someone that you're accountable to, they want something done sooner than 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is, and you want it to look nice along the way, we're going to help you cut the corner and be successful with that. And that's what that'll be about. 30 days of that. Pretty awesome. Cool. Maybe Elon Musk could buy Claris. I don't know Apple would sell it. Apple uses a lot of FileMaker. And so within organizationally, if you remove FileMaker from Apple, I think overnight you would impair their ability to manage their retail stores, manage their product launch schedules, manage their product lifecycle management. It's done in FileMaker. They do a lot of FileMaker.
There's all kinds of stuff that would just kill.
Yeah, so I don't. Or Larry Ellison tried to buy. It was my understanding tried to buy FileMaker from Steve Jobs back in the day, and Jobs wouldn't sell it. And it makes sense why, because Steve Jobs personally, because he was a creative, musical kind of guy, personally used FileMaker. He personally built solutions in FileMaker. The more I've read the book a couple times, Walter Isaacson's book, the more I realize he wasn't so much of an, but he was very demanding, and he wanted awesome people to be excellent. And I have a bigger appreciation for that as I move forward. So yeah, so cool. All right, well that's it for today. I don't have anything else. Tomorrow, Margaret will be here with Nick Hunter, picking up the much more boring conversation compared to the exploding Roman candle dinosaur action that we had today. I appreciate all of you here. Michelle, Ellen, we miss you. Batwitch 13, Brutterman, Scott, Mark, Lily, Labo, Kyle, Ken, Gadidi, Cameron, Brutterman, a couple Daves are in there too, Oregon Dean. Very exciting stuff. So, but once again, we will try to prioritize the important things for you as we come along. Once again, today's broadcast, I tried to do that, help you out with what's near term and what's longer term that maybe you don't have to worry about right now. Okay, cool. All right, see you, everyone. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!
On the ground, give me your hand.